Aquí tenemos a Eric y después tenemos a Boris, venidos directamente del cuartel general de Eric Instruments en Alemania para esta presentación. Esta mañana hemos estado viendo ya algo de Machine Studio, pero ahora vamos a ver un aspecto un tanto diferente. Es una suerte tenerles aquí para la ocasión. Aprovechadlo, tendremos tiempo de todo, de preguntas. Ellos van a hacer la demo en inglés. Si eso supone algún problema para alguien, pues ya más o menos iremos traduciendo. Pero bueno, la verdad es que como está todo basado en el producto, no creo que haya ningún problema. Pero bueno, tendremos tiempo de que se resuelvan todas las dudas, inquietudes sobre el producto, etc. Él nos lo va a explicar todo, pero bueno, básicamente yo quería poner foco sobre todo en el hecho de que esta es la segunda encarnación de la controladora S4, que funciona con Tractor, en productos de sobras conocido, y que obviamente trae muchas novedades, algunas son más visibles que otras. Entre las que son visibles, pues ya veis que todo el panel frontal está lleno ahora de colorines y da mucha información, brinda mucha información desde el software hacia el usuario, información visual, pero quizás la novedad más significativa es la integración, la total integración con plataforma iOS, con el software Tractor que podríamos usar tanto en iPhone como en iPad con la controladora, y lógicamente seguimos teniendo la posibilidad de usar Tractor Pro. ¿Vale? Él nos irá enseñando las cosas que él hace y cómo las hace y los detalles sobre cómo exprime el producto al 100% y cómo ese producto es válido para cubrir un montón de situaciones diferentes que se le pueden dar a cualquiera en su trabajo, ¿no? Y eso es un poco el mensaje, ¿no? Un montón de situaciones diferentes, un producto de un nivel de calidad superior y encima pues, más económico que la versión anterior, pero no nos podemos quejar de nada. Okay, so let's start with Eric and S4 and Tractor Pro first.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Hello everyone, good to see you. My name is Eric, and as far as I understood, Walker already told you a little bit about the S4 and what's new. Is that right? Okay. How many of you are familiar with the old S4? Probably all of you, I guess, or most of you. Can I see some nodding heads? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you see the unit in all its glory behind me, and I'm just gonna move my hands around here a little bit. When I talk about the S4, it's the new S4. It is a little bit the best tractor controller. Got better now with more integration of new features, and also with its layout. You can see it looks a little bit more professional. I have more structure here with my arms. And what the old S4 was the perfect tractor controller because its layout matches exactly the software. So you can see the software over here at the screen right now. This is my 2-deck layout, but if I just change it to this one, for example, you can see I have here in the middle, I have the mixer section that I can control with the S4 right here. On the sides I have my track decks. Down here, these are my transport controls. So nothing in there has changed. It's still the same workflow because we thought it has worked like this very well for us, and why should we change these details? What's new now is the flux mode that has a dedicated button on here. We have a dedicated booth output on the back, which you can probably look at later on when you come up stage and have a look at the unit yourself. And we also have these colored buttons which give the whole unit a way more structured overall view, I would say. Also, the integration of the remix decks has become better, so I'm just going to start to play some music with this to go quickly through Tractor Pro, and I try to use all the features that I just talked about, and maybe you just want to have a look here and see what happens with the remix sets when I go along with the playing, and when I copy stuff in there, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit later again. So let me just turn this up here. just a little demonstration of how I like to use the S4 when I mix out. I only mixed 2 songs right now, but what I did between the mixes, I used the right deck, the one that's moving right now, to get different samples. I have different loops set up here, and I have this horn sound coming in. And I can use this unit in a normal way where I just set up my loops here and I loop everything. But what it allows me to do is when I have a loop set up or a loop size set up, I can, for example, here 16 bars are now set up on my S4, and I can just press any of these 4 buttons and then move the sample where my playhead is in the moment, the deck above, down to my remix deck, and I can play with that sample. And I really like to use it to extend my mixes, because a lot of people who use Traktor use Traktor in a way where they mix out with 2 different loops running at the same time. So they have one track that's starting and it's looping, and then they have one track where they just keep the groove going. And what this allows me to do is I just take a loop like this one, where I just have a little synthesizer noise going on and a little bit of groove in there, and then I leave this playing, and the song actually, to the listener, the song keeps on driving, but at the same moment while this plays, completely loop track into my deck, which is now stopped, and then I start a loop track into my mixes, so I can build up on elements throughout my mixes that I really like, and keep them running throughout my mixes or bring them back in at later points. And once I've done this, I can even save these things, so I can go even into my remix set here, give this any name, party XYZ. And then I just save it like this, and the next time when I DJ, I have a really nice set of mixes and little loops that I can use throughout my mix, just available at my hands and on the S4. Regarding the remix sets, the S4 gives you the possibility to play with 8 samples or 16 samples of a remix deck at once, but for each deck you're limited to these 4 buttons. So what the S4 doesn't do is it doesn't take an F1 and makes the F1 useless, because the S4 gives you an introduction to the use of remix sets and to the ease of use of them. But if you want to have the full remix set control, you still need the F1. So this is something that I've been asked a lot. Can you switch your remix set samples on here? This is not possible, but it gives new users a really nice use case and an ease of use of the remix sets for them to get deeper into Traktor. I don't want to talk too long about Traktor Pro, because I think you guys are all familiar with the S4 and Traktor Pro so far. I just show you one more little thing. Now my laptop. Okay, I go straight to Traktor DJ, because my laptop is doing weird things today, and because the biggest part of the S4 is it's now finally iOS compatible. I move this around a little bit so that you can still see this side. Did you see that? Yes. Okay. And bring my iPad in here. So all I've done now is just switch the cable. So it's one cable, it's totally plug and play compatible. My iPad made a little sound. And I have direct access. So now I have direct access to my iPad version. Who of you is familiar with Traktor DJ for the iPad? One? Only one? Is that true? 2? Okay. So let me introduce Traktor DJ to you at first before I start with the S4. Because when you think about it, the S4 does exactly what it does with Traktor Pro, with Traktor DJ. But Traktor DJ itself is a pretty fun program to use just without a controller, but the S4 can give you so much more on top of that. But first, let me just introduce you to Traktor DJ as a program. You can see it doesn't look like a classic DJ setup. You have 2 big waveforms, one at the top, one at the bottom, and you don't have any platters going on there. We didn't try to replicate the classic DJ setup with this. If you want to use the EQ, then you have little windows like this, where you can use the EQs, you can just slide them with your fingers. And if you don't want to see them because you don't use them right now, you can just make them go away. The same is true for effects. So you have a couple of different effects that you can choose from in here. And then you have an XY pad where you can play around with the effect. And the cool thing is, it's really bringing DJ into the touchscreen, the software itself. So, if I play a track, I can really touch it and interact with it. I can set loops with 2 fingers. I can move them around. I can even go into the loops. So if I go to this little flag icon here, I can set up hot cues manually. I can move around my and I can do all this stuff with my fingers. But when you think about it, doing this in a club environment, going in there with sweaty hands, I'm really prone to sweaty hands, always greasy fingers. I wouldn't just trust this device. Also, the sound quality of the iPad alone, if you just go out there with one little cable, is also not the best, to be honest. Of course, you have different sound cards that you can put in there, but then you will still have the hands problem. Get your hands on there and play with wet and sweaty hands. So what the S4 does, it delivers you a really tactile external device which gives you controls that you're used to from a club environment, but makes the laptop obsolete at this point because you have a really strong software running in the background. And now you can mix in a more classical way. Because if you use the iPad just as this, then you're pretty much bound to the sync function because there's no way of changing the phase of the track or nudging the track a little bit forward or backwards. But of course here you have the big jog wheels, so this function now becomes available as soon as you plug in the S4. I'm just going to do a little mix. Let's see if this works. that. Thanks. So you can see I had full control of the iPad. I could even choose another track with the S4. So it's really when you work with the S4 before, even if it's the old one, and you plug it into the iPad, it's the same workflow. You don't have to adapt to anything new. You don't have to learn how the program works if you don't want to. You can just start straight with playing, and this is a lot of fun. But it also offers you a couple of other things that are a lot of fun. And before I go on, I just want to show you some things that are pretty cool to do on the iPad already. But with the S4, you get this tactile control. Like the last thing that I did with the cue points. So you can see the waveform here. I have these little numbers here. Blue numbers and red numbers. And if you look at the controller, these buttons are blue and these buttons are red. If I'm working without the controller, I would just stop the waveform like I showed you earlier. Go to any point in there, then I press this little button here. And once I'm there, I can just play it like this. The cool thing about this is when I do the same thing with the controller with the S4, I just press this button instead of the freeze button, and I have the same things just split up on my physical little pads here. And I can just play around with that. And you might think, I really hate this when a DJ does this in a live set because he just destroys the track and I don't like it if people play around with that like this. But the use case, how I use this is actually quite a different one because you don't have to use this only for the DJing purpose. You can also go to this little thing here and there you have a recording device. And you can just turn on recording right there. And maybe you want to do something like this. So now I've just recorded some noise. Once I've done this, I really love like the DJ, but I don't want to rate it right now. Once I've done this, I can just go in here and I see my recording that I did today. So I'll just take that. Come on, you can do that. There we go. Here we go. So this is what I just did. Now I can use these sounds and just play around with them again and add up on this. And I really like to record little textures for my productions that way. I do it with Tractor Pro and with the Tractor Pro effects, and I do it with Tractor DJ and Tractor DJ effects. And this gives me like a lot of creative potential. And it's a lot of stuff. Well, you know how it is sometimes you sit in the bus, some of you might sit on the toilet, play around with the Tractor DJ. And then you just record that thing and you say, okay, that's a cool idea, and then you get home and you take this recording and play around with it. So it also opens up a lot of more creative arsenal. And the good thing is, you don't have to go in here and do a lot of things with your hand at the same time, because in the end you're limited to 10 fingers and to the small screen. And if you have this here, you can turn a couple of knobs at the same time and get a really nice feeling with that. To come to an end, I also want to talk about this little guy here. Just need to put in my passcode. So, that's what we do. And then I start to track the DJ. Because imagine you go to a house party, the friends are playing. With native instruments, we were just in Amsterdam and we had this cookery school there. Maybe some of you have seen this on Facebook where we posted all the pictures. And at the end of the day, our main designers got together and they just took their iPhones and they did pretty much this. Here, just plug it in. So, can you see my iPhone there? Yeah. So they just plugged this in. And then people started to DJ with that. And a lot of people have the music they like to listen to on the phone. Not everybody wants to DJ with the phone, but we had this as 4 there, and we had the phone there, and then we were just going on and had a good time, and everybody could just play some jams, and had this thing about all the music came from the phone, which was amazing for us because it was so much fun, and we haven't really done this before in this setting. So to end this up, I just gonna play some music on my phone, and then I expect some questions from you guys. So let's get started with some slower, deeper music here. So this is all from the iPhone now. played this song before, so one thing I did on the fly was, you can see everything is still grid-based, and I used the sync function, and there's actually a really nice little option. Do you see it when I put this here? Maybe I need to turn up the light a little bit. How does this work? Like that. Here we go. Right. Now you can see it better, I guess. You can see that I have these white grid lines on my iPhone, and when I played the song, I don't have headphones for these demos because I always feel weird listening to headphones when I do these demos. When I played the song, I saw that the grid was off, and it also didn't sound quite right in the beginning. And what you can do is, now it's there again. What you can do is with the grid, a lot of times you have drifting songs, and when you have drifting songs, like old disco records, for example, then it's really hard to adjust them on the fly, because if you want to use sync, then the nudging doesn't quite work. So what you can do is, what I did is holding down Shift and the sync button, and then you go into this grid mode. You can see how you get those 4 lines, and the numbers say 1, 2, 3, 4, so that you count the beats, and then you can just shift the grids around on top of the waveform really easily. And I just did it while I was playing, holding down Shift and sync, adjusted the grid a little bit, let go, and everything was running in sync and like I expected it to sound. So this is something that the unit also gives you. It gives you direct access to mangle with the songs and to adjust them to make them sound just the way you want. And of course you could pre-listen to it because you have a pro sound card in there. So what the S4 does, it gives you pro audio quality on any iOS device with the track the DJ. In a nutshell, I would think this is all the news for Tractor Controllers 4. Please feel free to ask me questions. You can also ask questions in Spanish, and Rocky will translate them for me if this suits you better. And yeah, thank you for your patience, and have fun with chorus afterwards.
¿Alguna pregunta? ¿Algo que queráis?
iPad y ordenador a la vez, 2 canales para cada uno.
Is it possible to use, obviously I know the answer, but to use an iPad and a computer, 2 channels and 2 channels, or maybe the right, the question is in the future something that could do possible that you use computer on an iPhone, or two iPhones, or 2 iPads, or...
Well, with this hardware, you only have one USB port in the back, so you will have to decide whether you use the computer or the iPad. So it's not possible to use them both at the same time. What we are thinking about is we still have 2 inputs left in the S4. So if you use it with Tractor Pro, you can just use an external source and have one live input deck in Tractor Pro, for example. You know, if I open this up, maybe my computer works again. You know, we have these different deck types in Tractor. So you have track deck, where I was playing the tracks early on, you have the remix decks, but you have also a direct through track deck, and you have a live input deck. And for these decks, you can route an audio signal in there, and S4 has 2 inputs on the back. So if you would say play with Tractor Pro, you could take an iPhone with a normal jack to RCA cable and put it into one channel and have this channel as a live input channel in Tractor Pro. That way, it's a workaround, but that way somebody could use one channel to play additional tracks. But you can only have one device connected to the unit.
Yo, mi opinión al respecto. La ventaja, quizás el equipo en el cual la integración con iPad puede ser más, obviamente aquí funciona perfecto, pero a nivel, pensemos a nivel de usuarios, ¿no? ¿Dónde puede ir mejor? Para mí, obviamente, es en la S2. 2 canales, dos decks en el iPad, es un coste más reducido tanto la controladora como el producto que necesitas para reproducir, y parece un poco que es la dirección directa. Claro, pinchar con los iPads en S4 quiere decir que tienes 2 iPads. Los iPads son 400 más 400 son 800. Ya no estamos tan lejos de poder comprar un ordenador normal y poder usar el software Pro, con lo cual tenemos todas las ventajas. Es verdad que hay algunas funciones y algunas cosas muy interesantemente programadas en la versión de iPad que son muy atractivas y que todavía la versión de software Pro no las tiene, pero bueno, es totalmente previsible que al final habrá como, ¿no?, un vaivén de novedades entre versiones, en mi opinión.
Hello, I am an Android fan.
Yes.
Because I think
iOS devices are overpriced. I'm okay because it's a thing of the free market. So, but I think in the future, the iPad 3, user iPad 3, will be very affordable. Like in 1 year, I will find for $200. So I think I do prefer the 3 because it's very close to the 4 and have the 30-pin connector.
Yeah.
You think it's enough power which I can have with an iPad 3, or I have to forget about and buy a 4 or 5?
So that's a good question. You're asking if the iPad 3 has enough power for trying to DJ. It does have enough power, but there's one drawback with the iPad 3, which is the battery power of the iPad 3 is not really strong. The iPad 3 has a Retina display, and it has a better processor, and it has still the battery from the iPad 2. So what happens is, actually, when you connect the iPad 3 to the unit, it's supposed to charge, but this doesn't happen with the iPad 3 because the battery drains too much power. So what you have to do is you have to turn the display to make it work perfect. So you cannot have the display running at full brightness because then your battery will still go down even though it is plugged in. But this has nothing to do with the device. This even happens when you plug it into with the normal charger of the iPad and you have the device running with full screen power. But from the processor side of view, it's working fine. Yeah.
Maybe I can find some kind of adapter to
maybe. Yeah. But in my experience, just turning down the brightness of the display helps not.
¿Todo entendió? El tema del iPad 3 que consume demasiada batería, entonces el cargador, o sea, la energía que le brinda la unidad no es suficiente para cargarlo y mantenerlo encima en marcha, por lo tanto pues, funciona bien, pero tenemos ese pequeño problema. Entonces, pues, lógicamente, pues, es mejor usar dispositivos más económicos, a nivel de consumo de energía mejor optimizados. Más preguntas.
Try to do you think that it would be better to substitute the jog wheel for a fader? Because you don't use it. You are always using pads, you are always working in a sim mode, and I think it would be most useful to use instead of
touch.
But that's also a good question. It was, can we change the jog wheels for a touch strip? To my own experience, what you said is right. I personally I only use them to nudge the track in or to give it a little swing. But I think the question is pretty much answered when you look at the other native instruments products that came out during the last year. So if you think about the X1, for example, it has this touch strip already. If you touch it, you can nudge records really easily, so you don't have this big wheel. You have more like something like this here. And all you need to do is just do this, and it feels extremely good when you do this. So I can't give you any details on that, but we are surely aware of this technology and probably will embrace it more in the future.
Sí, quizás la tendencia, ¿no? a que cada vez la gente usa menos, pero bueno, es verdad que el Yoguri se puede usar para otras cosas que no sean adelantar o sincronizar la canción. Se puede usar para controlar los efectos y es muy interesante. De hecho, no sé si, I don't know if you see the possibility to control effects with the Yoguri, like yesterday.
Yes.
In the framework, it's a function of the S4 configuration.
Yeah, if you just go into Tractor's preferences, you see this big window here. For every native instruments controller,
ves las preferencias referentes exclusivamente a S4 y por donde podemos utilizar los joggles para controlar efectos.
For every controller, you have these little setups here. So this is my S4, and I can just say that when I push this button here, then my jog wheel becomes an effects controller for one parameter. So this is something that works with the jog wheel already, but also with the touch strip on the X1, you can already assign it to any knob that you have. up here actually, and then just control these effects with the touch stroke. So yeah, both kind of work in the same way, and
a mí, personal, sí, a mí, pese a que no los utilices para cuadrar, me sigue pareciendo un tipo de interface de humano muy bien diseñado, una precisión muy grande, ¿vale? Y evidentemente el tema de los pads o de otro tipo de controlador, tenemos otros controladores que lo hacen, que son con el F1, por ejemplo, que podemos colocar al lado. Bueno, pues sería mejor tenerlo todo dentro de una misma unidad, ¿no? Una posible controladora que integrara todo. A mí personalmente no me gusta la idea. Personal, ¿eh? O sea, yo prefiero tener un S4 y poner al lado uno o dos F1, porque me permite usarlos en unas situaciones y en otras no, dependiendo de lo que vaya a hacer, mientras que tener una gran controladora que le lleva todo es más pesada, más difícil de transportar, si se estropea un botón, tiene que tener detenido todo el trabajo. A mí las soluciones específicas para cubrir necesidades específicas me encantan, es lo que a mí más me gusta, ¿no? Por ejemplo, luego hablamos del tema machine, ¿por qué no lleva interface de uno? Me parece súper correcto, pero bueno, son opiniones, ¿no? Os lo cuento, ¿estáis de acuerdo, no? Más cuestiones.
all right. Okay, do you have any questions?
Ok, un aplauso para Eric.